Greetings, my Jester Nation family and friends. I am out here this morning with some of my running crew that I join some mornings. And today is the day after what big event happened yesterday, ladies?
Boston Marathon.
Boston Marathon. So let me introduce you. Over on my left, we have
Gabriella.
Gabby.
And Michelle.
Michelle. Jester.
And Ramona.
Ramona.
And Leslie.
Leslie. And Mark is somewhere up ahead. All right, so what I'd like to do this morning is talk a little bit about what you ladies are up to, especially regarding marathon training and planning, but also a little bit about the Boston Marathon. Now, I am the oddball out of this group of 5 with Mark up ahead 6, which is not unusual for the Jester, but in this case, career-wise, the other 5 people work in what career field?
Teaching.
They're all teachers! So, imagine I get to run with teachers some mornings.
You're a teacher.
Oh, I am, that's true. I am a teacher. That's right, just in a different setting. Okay, so, all right, so we're gonna make this kind of almost like a little bit of a classroom. I'm gonna ask you ladies some questions, see if you know the answers. All right, so Boston Marathon. What running was it yesterday? How many Boston Marathons have there been?
40.
I'll give you a big clue. It's the longest running marathon in the world.
60.
And it started the year after the modern day Olympics began, which was in 1896, which means 1897, 122 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All right. Now, ladies, how many years have women been allowed to run the Boston Marathon? Out of 122 years, how many of those years would you say they've allowed women?
75.
Not 75.
No, I would say 40, 45.
I say 50.
50 is really close.
45.
They started in 72, officially allowing women to run the Boston Marathon.
Wow.
So the history of women in the Boston Marathon, because Desiree Linden, first American female to finish in first place in 33 years. 1985 was the last time an American woman won the Boston Marathon. And second place was a female as well. In fact, 7 of the top 10 females were Americans, and 6 of the top males were American. So America had when the weather is terrible, hey, we get tough, we pull through. So, who was the first woman to run the Boston Marathon?
Well, just this morning, somebody posted a video of her. And Marietta, moms run this town, posted a video. Something with an S. Schreiber. Oh, darn. Sorry, Coach.
Okay.
Teachers failed today.
K, that's all right. K.V. Schweitzer.
Schweitzer. Oh, yeah.
Yes, but she actually is not the first woman who ran the Boston Marathon. She's gotten a lot of credit, and there's been controversy over the years. So here's what happened in 1967. Catherine V. Schweitzer decided she wanted to run the Boston Marathon, but they didn't allow women. So she submitted her application, and she put her initials, K.V. Schweitzer. Now, there wasn't a box to check for male or female because it was automatically concluded no women's getting into the race, it's only for men. And do you know why women were not allowed to run the Boston Marathon?
Because they were too delicate.
Right. If a woman were to try to run 26 miles, her uterus would fall out. It was known. It was science. It was fact. And in fact, the first woman who did the Boston Marathon did it a year earlier, and she submitted her application as a female, and she got a rejection letter, and it said that women are too delicate to run 26.2 miles. So what did she do? She hung out in the bushes a little bit past the start line, and then jumped in and joined the men's field in 1966. In 1967, when K.V. Schweitzer, Catherine, did her first marathon, it was Roberta Gibbs' second Boston Marathon, And she finished an hour before Catherine.
Wow.
So
Did not know that.
since then, they've come back and revised history a bit and acknowledged her. But neither of those ladies was the first female to officially run the first marathon in the United States. That happened in 1959 at Pikes Peak Marathon. They started that marathon in 1956, and from the start, they allowed women. But it wasn't until 1959 that a group of women decided that they would do the whole thing and went to the top. You could go to the top and stop and keep going. So 3 entered, 2 went to the top, which is 7,800 feet of climb up to the 14,000 plus Pikes Peak. And 1, Arlene Piper, continued on down to the finish line. Okay, so that's a little bit of history about Boston Marathon. By the way, since women have been running marathons officially for not even 50 years yet, do you know what percentage of women run marathons now?
I would say 45.
That's right on, yeah. At Boston,
I got one right.
you did.
Woo!
At Boston, 55% of the entrants this year were male, 45 female.
Woo-hoo.
So what I'd like to see, though, would be really interesting to see, is the finish rate. If that changed, if
Yeah.
with the tough weather, if women actually came out with a higher finish rate of 45%. Wouldn't that be cool?
Oh, that would be cool.
The more women stuck in with that. Okay, so where'd Mark go? Okay, so that's a little
Hi, Mark.
history of the marathon and women. So I'd like to find out what all of you are up to in your personal marathon training. And by the way, I need to commend you, most of you, coming out with lighter colored clothing
Yes, for once.
and some light, I know, and some lights.
Yes, light.
That's great. And we are running opposite direction of traffic. So all those are really good things that we should be doing for safety reasons. All right, so way back in the back there, Mark, tell us your history with the marathon and what you're doing, what you're training for right now. So first off, marathons. How many marathons have you ran?
I've completed 3 marathons.
3 marathons, okay.
My first marathon was Surf City,
What year?
2015.
2015, cool.
Yeah, 2016 I ran LA,
Uh-huh.
and 2017 I did Napa Valley.
Very cool.
Oh, and I did actually 4, and I did the Walt Disney marathon this year.
All right, with someone else in this group. Well, you've got 1 extra on me. I haven't done Disney, I've done the other 3.
Right.
And what are you training for now?
I have the St. George Marathon in October.
Cool. All right, so 4 marathons for Mark, training for St. George. Up here to Michelle,
Yes.
your marathon history.
My very first full marathon
Turn left here, that way we won't have to deal with any traffic.
happened when I was training for Ironman. So I did Carlsbad, and I'm not sure what year, quite a few ago. And
I think that was 2014 possibly?
yeah, somewhere around there, yes.
That's when we first met.
Yes. Yay.
Well, actually, no, it's not when we first met, but go ahead and finish your marathon story.
Oh
I'll
yeah, that's true.
talk about when we first met, okay?
And then I ran the marathon, obviously at Ironman, in I did the Vineman up at Santa Rosa, and then I did a 100-miler
What?
with Coach Ed as my coach, as part of the 0 to 100 Mile Heroes. So I'm not sure. I think that counts. And
Well, yeah, it's a marathon or longer, sure.
yes, and then as Mark said, we did the Dopey Challenge
Yeah.
to raise money for my suicide awareness prevention program, Project 99. And it was cool because I have a knee injury right now. And even though it was the slowest marathon Mark or I have ever done, we finished together, yeah.
That's cool. Well, you're in good company because most of the people who did Boston, a lot of them are saying that's the slowest marathon I've ever done in my life. But they hung in there and got it done. So, hey, a slow marathon. You know, it's an interesting thing. I've done a couple hundred marathons, so I've gotten quite a few medals, and I noticed that I even looked at the medals that they give to the first place finishers, and I've seen medals that give to the last place finishers. I've had the opportunity many times to actually give those away, and they look exactly the same.
Yes.
It's,
They're just as
it's
beautiful,
amazing
maybe
that, yeah, it doesn't matter what place you finish, your finisher's medal looks the same.
You want to come down here, Coach? Let's do a tour.
It dead ends, but sure, we can go down there and come back. Okay, so,
No, it's
No,
not.
just go around.
all right, so what are you training for now?
Right now, I shouldn't say that. I've got to get that in my vocabulary. I'm training for the rock and roll, but I'm doing the half this year.
San Diego Rock and Roll?
Yep.
Cool. Which brings us over to someone who San Diego Rock and Roll will be her first marathon ever.
Hey.
Leslie?
Hello.
All right, so are you excited about your first marathon coming up?
Yes, I am.
And how's the training going?
It's going well. I do have a little bit of an injury right now, but I'm nursing it and I'm
Can't
doing
tell.
good. Yep.
Oh, it's something with your heel, right?
It's my heel, yeah, but
darn heel.
it's okay.
You know, that screwed up.
be okay.
That screwed up Achilles as well.
Oh, really?
It's
Yeah.
5 in the morning.
I know.
The teachers
Yeah.
sometimes are a little slow when it's
Yeah,
5 in the morning. All right, so let's come over here to Ramona leading the pack. Ramona, any marathons?
No, none, ever.
Any plans to do a marathon?
I don't know. I was training last year for the Santa Rosa and I injured my back, and so I wasn't able to run for a few months. So I don't know. But I am doing the half, rock and roll
There you go.
half.
Good. That's
Yeah,
great.
it's my 5th or 6th half.
And this is your 3rd year leading a certain
100-mile club.
100-mile club.
Yeah,
For which school?
Murray Elementary, and it
Cool.
started out with 3rd through 5th graders, but now it's kindergarten through 5th.
And how many kids do you have in the program?
Right now we have about 78.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you have some that have already finished their 100?
About maybe 10, no, maybe 15. I've already finished
Nice.
100 miles.
And there's still quite a few that are on their way to.
Yes. And they're
Very
so
cool.
Excited. So excited.
How rewarding is that to see these kids get out there?
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Very, very cool. All right. And speaking of 100-mile club, I will drop back here to join Gabby, who also started a 100-mile club at what school?
Thompson Middle School.
And how many kids are in your program?
Right now we only have about 10.
10?
Yes,
10's.
I have to compete with cross country and I don't know what the other one is.
Well, that's,
But you know,
but 10 is, hey, that's 10
is
kids that
good.
maybe
And,
wouldn't run otherwise, possibly.
huh?
10 kids that maybe otherwise wouldn't run,
Correct.
many of them.
And
Cool.
we have one that's already at 70.
Mhm.
So we're excited.
Cool.
Yeah.
And marathon history. You've done a couple of marathons. How many marathons have you
A
done?
few. Over 30, close to 40.
Close to 40.
My first
She doesn't
one
even know.
was, 1994,
Uh-huh.
Los Angeles.
Huh. That marathon,
That was one of yours too.
yeah, that was my DNF marathon. And
Yeah.
unlike Gabby, for 15 years after dropping out of the marathon at mile 3, I didn't run marathons. But you continued.
I continue, and I will continue as long as the two legs keep going.
And you have what marathon you're training for coming up?
Right now I have San Diego, and then Santa Rosa, and I have La Jolla this weekend, but that's a half.
Oh, you have? Cool.
Yeah. And then hoping to do,
We can go through this, sure, if you guys want.
keep doing ultras too.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. You've done how many hundreds now?
3.
3! And last time,
And 177 miler, nanny goat. So
Cool.
4 ultras, but yeah.
and
No.
when was your first 100?
First 100, 2015.
And that
GC
was,
100 with Coach.
yeah.
Yay. That was awesome.
So that's how I actually joined up with this crazy group of teachers. I put a post out in 2015 We called it 0 to 100 Mile Hero in 200 days. And I challenged people who wanted to run their first 100 to fill out a questionnaire, and then we would vote and pick the top 6, and I would train them. And Michelle happened to be number 6.
Yes, I was.
She squeaked right in, and so I knew that she lived. We formally met when she did her first marathon, our Carlsbad Marathon. Our mutual friend asked me to keep, what's that?
Stephanie.
Yes, Stephanie asked me to keep an eye on her, and so as I like to do, I hung out at the finish line and then went out and greeted her and brought her into the finish. But we discovered recently that we actually met originally 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
And where was that, Michelle?
I needed CPR. As a teacher, I needed a CPR course. And who did I take my CPR course from back then? Jester Ed. But we didn't realize it till recently. As I was cleaning out the cupboard, I found my CPR card with his name on it.
Yeah, from 1998. So we were destined.
We were destined to be running buddies.
So what happened is I put out the challenge, and Michelle, she actually sent me an email or a Facebook and said, hey, I want to do this, but I don't know if I'll be able to, because when I first put it out, I was going to just pick one, actually. She said, I don't know if I'll get the most votes. I said, well, let's see what happens. And that was part of what helped convince me to open it up to more than just one person. And we picked 6. And then I knew that Michelle lived kind of close. So I sent her a message, hey, I know you guys run in the mornings with your group. Would you mind having some company? And she said, sure. I don't think she quite expected it would be me. Did you think I was going to send somebody else to join you?
I could not imagine that Jester would be running with me. You're kind of my little running superhero.
So then when I showed up, I think she was a little bit surprised, and then we started running together. And now the interesting thing was, at that point, it was just Michelle out of the running group that was going to do 100 miles. But Michelle got the idea to do 100 miles because Gabby had planted that seed. She had said, oh, someday I want to do 100 miles. And so as we're running together, I would join them and we would do some mileage in the mornings. And we kept trying to convince Gabby to join us. She's like, no. Gabby kind of likes to do things on her own time, in her own way. So one morning, Monday morning, we get together to do our run. And Gabby says, guess what, guys? Guess what I did? And we're like, what? What'd you do, Gabby? She said, well, maybe I had a little bit too much wine. But I was looking at the...
That I did.
Yes. I was looking at the ultra sign up for the 100-mile race you guys are doing. And I hit the send button. I was like, what? You signed up for the race? Yes, I did. So she was one of our group.
Well, can I tell the truth?
Uh-oh.
The funny part of the story is that well, first of all, I never thought I'd run over 5K. So there we go. But when Gabby first told me that she wanted to run a 100-miler, I said, why would you want to do that? That's for crazy people.
Only innocent fools would do that.
So in actuality, my running allowed Gabby and I to work together to achieve her dream. Not my dream, her dream. And then her dream became my dream. Because we finished together.
That is so cool. And when I joined your group, you had just had a disappointment with your running. What had just happened?
The June before I started, no, it wasn't June, it was March.
Yes.
As we started in April.
Yeah.
The June before I started with Coach, I had my very first DNF, my favorite race, San Diego half. And I could hardly walk. I got to mile 8 and my knee stopped working. And when I told Coach I wish I could do this, I also said I can't do it because of my knee. And he said, I think you can. And so he walked with me, girls, car. He walked with me until I could jog, and he jogged with me until I could run. And then he taught me that walking is not your inferior power, it's your base.
Yes.
And I learned that you need to train to walk sometimes, to power walk.
That's right.
So you're not doing the walk of shame It's the walk of power.
They're very good. I love the way you put that. In fact, when I first started running with this group, Michelle was still walking, and she had 2 knee braces, and I said, those are gonna go. She's like, no, I need those. It's like, no, those are crutches. We're gonna get rid of those. And so she said, but I can't run without them. It's like, well, then we'll just walk. And we started walking. She got rid of the knee braces, strengthened up her knees, and we started to run, and sure enough, she eventually...
The rest is history.
Yep, got that 100 miles done. Now, we had some interesting things that happened during our 100 mile or 0 to 100 mile hero journey. One of the unfortunate, really, it's unfortunate, it's not even the correct word, it's just a tragic event. We were going to go visit one of our friends in our group that was having some issues. It was a Sunday morning, and Martha and I and Michelle were going to go visit our friend to cheer her up a bit. And we got a text from Michelle, said, emergency, can't explain now, can't make the meeting. So Martha and I went ourselves, and then we found out the next morning when I came to run with the group. Well, Michelle, I'll let you tell the story.
Yeah, well, sorry, I'm the crier, so I'll try and say this without tears. But I'm a teacher, and I also tutor. And a student that I tutored for 11 years, who was like my own child, died by suicide. Completely unexpected, no signs. And it was the August before my 100-mile race. And the guilt, the anger with his choice, the sadness, actually the 100-mile process helped me through it. And it helped me through the race. As I started that EC 100, I thought of him and thought, you know what, he pulled himself out of the race early. We talk about Diego, he pulled himself out of the game.
A human race,
And I am going to continue for him. And I felt him on my shoulder every mile of that race. And because of him, you know, I want to say that a tragedy like that, I never thought good would come of it. But because of him, we now have a nonprofit called Project 99, where we go out into the schools and we speak to kids about the repercussions of suicide. And we have 2 people that speak of hope who were down there, came close. And
one of the people in your group also, who's one of the people in the group that have a special meaning for this whole organization?
oh, why don't I remember?
A dad?
Oh, yes, God, excuse me. His dad speaks. And
Diego's father.
yeah, Diego's father is a rare survivor of suicide in that he survived his son's suicide. And the day after his son died, I told you, he died on Sunday. On Monday, Ed was talking to the football kids.
Ed is Diego's dad's name as well, so. Not this Ed, that Ed.
Yeah, he was telling them that he was sorry, it wasn't their fault, and that Diego made a horrible, horrible decision, and he was sorry about the pain Diego had placed on them, and we've been speaking ever since.
And there's no way of knowing how many lives you have affected, but definitely going into the schools, just bringing the awareness and the education to the kids has got to make a difference. And I know you've heard so many stories of people come up to you and said how valuable this organization is because in their life they experienced
Yes.
loss.
Oh, I mean, and it's funny because people don't share their mental health issues. They don't share their suicidal feelings or experiences because it's taboo in our society. And for our children, social media and the pressures we put on them are throwing them into suicidal episodes like never before. And if as adults we don't talk about our struggles, how are our kids ever going to feel like they should do so? So that's one of our main messages, is to share how you're feeling and ask for help. Ask for help for you. Ask for help from those who come to you. And if there are any kids out there never keep something like this a secret. If somebody tells you that they're feeling suicidal, get them help.
And your organization, you have a fundraising page so that you can actually help fund the materials that you need to spread the word. And how can people find your organization and make a donation possibly?
It's www.project99.org. And the money not only goes to bracelets that have the suicide prevention number in them and cards, but we also fund suicide campaigns that the schools do. So we give them any materials they need to promote mental health wellness and to, talk about things like bullying and all those things that contribute to stress that our kids are feeling.
So www, hard to say W's when your mouth is cold, www.project99.org.
Yep.
And the suicide hotline, it's a good number just to memorize, and it's an easy number. It's 800-APE-TALK, APETALK. There's got to be better numbers than that, but I saw the numbers and TALK was in there, but they always said 272-TALK. And or was that 273, I think. But looking at that, I tried to figure something else out, and I just came up with APE. So 800-APE-TALK. If you ever need to talk to someone about suicide or need to pass that number on to somebody, then certainly please do.
Yes, please do.
Any message you'd like to leave as we close out?
All right, running buddies, messages.
Any message you'd like to leave of inspiration to the Jester Nation as we close out this episode number 4?
Just keep on running.
Yeah, keep running.
Put one foot in front of the other, like Coach always says.
Yes.
All right.
And never give up. Never give up on your race dreams. Knee injuries. Had that knee injury. I finished the 100-miler with a knee injury.
You did.
Yes, I did. And never give up on yourself, because life throws curveballs at you, but you can always get better if you give yourself a chance.
Well, okay, ladies, get together for a final shot, and we'll close this out. Episode number 4. All in close and tight.
Yay.
All
Sorry,
right.
the last mark again.
There we go. Have a great day, guys. Jester out.
Yay. Keep running.
Yeah.
Morning.
Yeah, see? Okay. So talk about perseverance. Even if that didn't completely work, did it, Coach? Do you think?
I guess it probably did. Yeah. I mean, it recorded, so we'll see how it came out. But
Yeah, but look at you persevering.
yeah, you're right.
You're like Owen with technology.